If you look at the profit margin of this industry, you would have never expected the exceptional growth of this company. Apple's supplier Foxconn makes electronics for not just Apple but many other famous brands, such as Dell, Sony, and Nintendo. It is the world's largest contract electronics manufacturer. Which means, if you have the idea for a device and you don't have all the resources and technical stuff for its production, you give them your design and they will produce the device for you. It has factories all over the world. As of 2012, Foxconn factories manufactured an estimated 40% of all consumer electronics sold worldwide. Terry Gou is the person who founded and led Foxconn to the world's largest contract manufacturer of electronics. He was born in 1950 in Taiwan to parents who fled from mainland China during the Chinese Civil War. He started his business in 1974 as a small maker of plastic knobs for television sets. To get an understanding, we need to take a trip back in time to 1970s south of China. Taiwan has a booming export economy, but most electronics at this time are made in Japan, where the factories were, and then traded in Taiwan, who had the connections to the Western world. A 24-year-old Gou working as a shipping clerk realizes the potential to make money by producing electronics rather than being the middleman. With a loan of $7,500 from his mother, he bought a couple of plastic molding machines and rented a shed in a suburb of Taipei. He hired 10 elderly workers who probably struggled to find jobs elsewhere. He started by making channel-changing knobs for black and white television. His initial breakthrough came when he received an order to make console joysticks from Atari in 1980. He focused more on cable development, and in 1981, Foxconn developed a special connector for computers. This innovation improved the production process and quality. He automated the production of paralleled cables, and this innovation got him into Dell's supply chain. Gou's business grew rapidly as he expanded his product range to include computer connectors, cables, keyboards, and mice. He also invested in research and development, and established a reputation for quality and reliability. By 1982, his business acquired the equivalent of $1.6 million in today's money. Terry Gou believed in his ability to make quality products, so he traveled across 32 states in the US for almost a year to look for buyers. He secured some deals, including one with a company that worked for Intel. He set up the US division of Hon Hai in 1985 and changed the organization of the company. Hon Hai became a parent company, and Foxconn handled the operations. 3 years later, wages began to rise in Taiwan. In 1988, Taiwan experienced a big change in its economy. The government decided to raise the minimum wage by 17%. It was a response to the changing economic structure of Taiwan. The exports exceeded imports by $19.4 billion, a 38.4% increase from the previous year. This huge trade surplus boosted Taiwan's foreign exchange reserves by $80 billion by the end of the year. The abundance of foreign currency strengthened Taiwan's own currency, the new Taiwan dollar. To understand better, imagine that Taiwan is a big shop that sells many things to other countries, and also buys some things from them. In 1988, Taiwan sold a lot more things than it bought, so it made a lot of money. This money was mostly in US dollars, which is a very popular and powerful currency. Taiwan kept this money in a special bank account called foreign exchange reserves. By the end of the year, Taiwan had $80 billion in this account, which is a huge amount. Now, Taiwan also has its own currency, called the new Taiwan dollar. This currency is like a ticket that people can use to buy things from Taiwan. The more people want to buy things from Taiwan, the more valuable these tickets become. Because Taiwan sold a lot of things in 1988, many people wanted to buy its tickets. This made the new Taiwan dollar stronger, which means that it could buy more things from other countries. In fact, the new Taiwan dollar became 9.3% stronger than the US dollar in 1988, which is a big change. This change was very good for the Taiwanese workers, who earned their money in new Taiwan dollars. Their living standards improved significantly, and because of this, Taiwanese factories started relocating to Vietnam, the Philippines, and Thailand, for cheap labor and low cost. Gou, however, decided to move to China. The communist nation was an odd choice. Nobody wanted to do business there. China had a communist government that was not friendly to foreign investors. It imposed high tariffs, strict regulations, and political interference on foreign businesses. China also lacked infrastructure and skilled workers to support modern manufacturing and services. Even worse, China had a closed and isolated economy that was not integrated with the global market. It had limited access to foreign currency, technology, and information. On the upside, China had an endless stream of cheap labor, so Go crossed the sea and established his first factory in Shenzhen. In 1991, he decided to take Hon Hai public in Taiwan, raising capital and expanding his market share. He realized that China was a massive and growing market for consumer electronics. He also noticed that China was opening up to the world and becoming more integrated with the global economy. He witnessed the impressive economic achievements of China in the 1990s, as it maintained high growth rates, reduced inflation, and attracted foreign investment. He also observed the increasing confidence of China in international affairs, as it participated in regional and global organizations. He realized that China would soon dominate the global economy. So, he decided to invest more. He made a deal with Compaq to produce computer cases at a much lower cost than what they would spend if they did it themselves. Foxconn's cases were not only cheaper, but also simpler to put together for Compaq. Other customers were drawn by the low prices and high quality, and Foxconn began to make products for Intel, IBM, and Apple. In 1998, Terry Gou secured a contract with Dell. The Dell executives insisted on having the assembly done in the US, not in China. Terry complied. He bought a factory in Kansas and equipped it as quickly as possible. 3 years later, Gou got another contract from Intel to produce their motherboards, beating Asus, a fellow Taiwanese company. That year, Foxconn became the biggest company in Taiwan, surpassing TSMC. In 2010, Foxconn faced a series of suicides among its workers, sparking international criticism over its labor practices and working conditions. The company responded by raising wages, reducing the overtime hours and improving the working conditions of its factories. Foxconn had big plans to open multiple factories in Brazil in 2011. They wanted to invest $12 billion and create up to 100,000 jobs to make and sell Apple products in the country. But it didn't work out. The iPhones made in Brazil were too expensive, costing $1,000, double the price in the US, and the factory never had more than 2,500 workers. The company ended all production activities in 2017. Gou said the last point in the Wall Street Journal, claiming that Brazilian workers' wages are very high. But Brazilians, as soon as they hear soccer, they stop working. And there's all the dancing. It's crazy. In 2012, Foxconn bought 10% of Sharp, then entered into negotiation to buy more. They ended up buying 66% of the company in 2016 for $3.8 billion instead of $6.2 billion, after it was reported that Sharp had not disclosed all of their liabilities. The acquisition was a risky but strategic move for Foxconn, as it aimed to transform itself from a low-margin OEM manufacturer to a high-value added technology provider.